Hello, everyone. Welcome. If you're just joining us, make sure you let us know where you're joining us from in the chat. It looks like we've got like all four corners of the US. We've got Maine, we've got Florida. I saw some San Diego earlier. I'm also in Minnesota, so we've got the Midwest represented as well. I see some Ohio, Pennsylvania. So I love seeing Texas. Welcome, howdy. I love seeing where all of our users are coming from and where you're logging in from. My name is Renee Powers, and I am on Team Pango. If you are new to Pango, we're a pretty small team, but we're small and mighty, and we just want to help you get books in the hands of people who want books. I mean, it's really that simple, isn't it? Um, Before I joined the Team Pango, I was a Pango seller. So I've been with Pango for about a year and a half now, and prior to that, I was selling for maybe a year prior. So I can tell you, I have a lot of experience buying and selling on Pango. So um, I asked, when I created this event, I asked that you share some of your top tips. The community here at Pango is probably one of the best resources. So we love to be able to facilitate these interactions, so you can share information with one another. And I am looking forward to sharing some insights to what I have found and what the data shows is some of the best ways to get more sales. So these are our 5 top tips for selling on Pango. I polled our team. I had them come up with suggestions. I've got some inside knowledge that we haven't shared elsewhere. So make sure you've got your cup of coffee. This is mine. Look how cute this is. This is one of my spring mugs because I love birds. And today feels like spring in Minnesota. I don't know about your part of Minnesota, Linda, but it's about 50 degrees and feels real good. But we got a winter storm warning, so it's not going to be like that for long. All right, give me one moment. So the way this will work is if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I do know that Esther, who is our director of marketing, is most likely here. I haven't seen her yet, but I'm sure she's here. She usually is. And she will help me field some questions if I miss any, but feel free to throw those in the chat as well. I will leave the questions till the end because I have just a small presentation for you. I think it's literally 5 slides. It's a slide for each tip. But I want to get through that before I take questions about buying and selling and Pango in general. So I have not tested this yet. So I'm going to see if my slides show up. Oh my goodness. Would you look at that? All right. So our first tip is to, well, first off, high quality inventory and more inventory. So the data doesn't lie here. We've dug into it, we've spliced it and diced it every which way. The more inventory there is on Pango, not just in your shop, but on Pango writ large, the more sales everybody gets. Rising tides lift all boats in this case. But also, the more you add inventory and the more often you add inventory, the more eyes you will get on your account. And more eyes on your account, more views equals more sales. Um, and this is one of the reasons why I don't know if you've noticed. Check our social media, check our blog, check your email. We are doing a listing giveaway this week, and that's because we want to hammer home this fact, right? That the more inventory that Pango sellers have on Pango, the better all Pango sellers do. So make sure that you've got books in the wings. That's kind of how I've always got a stack of books. I'm like, okay, I need to put these on Pango. I read this one. It's fine. I don't need it anymore. I'm gonna put it back on Pango because chances are I bought it on Pango. Um, So the more often you add inventory and the better your inventory is. So I know we've got some like resellers who, go out to their local thrift stores, scour their garage sales, all of those things. I know that we've even got some like storage storage unit buyers, which I think is wild. I used to love that show. Um, but if you find books in a storage unit that you bought on auction, what a great place to get rid of them is Pango. Um, so I want to talk about how we weight our inventory because, as you have probably noticed, there are featured listings, and that featured listing is not us necessarily. We do the Pango picks, which is pangobooks.com/pango-picks. And every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we update those of just like cool stuff that we have found. But there is an algorithm that surfaces inventory that is high quality. And this is what we consider high quality. The pricing something competitively, this includes shipping, right? If you price it competitively, you price it low, that's going to be 50% of this criteria to feature the listing. So make sure that it's priced competitively. And I did see in the chat someone earlier said, that doesn't necessarily mean the lowest price listing, but the most reasonable price for the condition and format, right? So 50% of the criteria is price. And I said it includes shipping, so make sure that you have added a custom weight so your shipping fee is accurate. And to do that, you go into your listing details and you select enter custom weight. That'll bring up a new text box, and there you can enter the correct weight in ounces. That will override any of the data that we have on the back end. We do have a database of weights based on ISBN, and we will anything that you input there will override that. So if that our database is not always accurate, or it is an older ISBN or a different format for some reason, and in those cases, like, you can let us know too, and we could fix those. But for the most part, I strongly encourage you to invest $20 in a little I use like a little kitchen scale, and it was literally $20, and it's as accurate as I need it to be. So make sure that your weight is accurate to get an accurate shipping fee, and your price is competitive. Another factor we take into our featured listing criteria is the seller rating. Now, this doesn't mean that only 100% 5-star sellers are going to be featured. That's not what that means. If you've got 90 5-star reviews and 2 3-star reviews, your seller rating is still really high. So I don't necessarily want to encourage you to, I just don't want folks to get really bent out of shape about 1 or 2 not great reviews. We all make mistakes. We all encounter difficult users. And some people are more particular than others, and that's fine. I will say that the longer history of reviews, so if you've been selling for 2-3 years and you've got a history of strong reviews over time, that's also going to impact the seller rating score. So we've got price, we've got seller rating, and then we rank books in better condition higher than fair or poor condition. Now, keep in mind that sometimes a fair or poor condition book can be, a collector's item. And I'm asking you, please make sure you're listing accurately, which will help your reviews, which will help your rating, which will help your listings get featured. Just as long as you list accurately, that's all we ask. But if you do have a like new book in your inventory, it is most likely going to get a higher rating and possibly be featured on the front feed, the featured feed, in front of potential buyers. And if you have questions about book conditions, my last coffee chat last month was all about that, and I showed examples. I showed what best practices are for listing conditions We also have a blog post. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Book Listing Conditions. And so you can find that on our blog. You can find that in the Seller Resource Hub, which is also linked on the bottom of the Pango homepage. Let's see. Format is the final thing that we take into account for featured listings, and it's the least weighted. But hardcovers do score higher than paperbacks, and this is something we're revisiting. But all else being equal, price, condition, seller rating, if those are all exactly the same, the tiebreaker then becomes hardcover will beat out the format for that featured listing. You might see on what we call our title page. So if you were to go search for, I'm going to say Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, because that's on my desk right here. If you search for Pachinko, it's going to show you a featured listing, and that is the title page. You can then navigate to see all, and that's where you can see all of the available copies of Pachinko on Pango. But that one featured is what I'm talking about here. That one photo on the listing page, when you just type in Pachinko and it gives you the top result, that's the one that is determined by these criteria: price, seller, rating, condition, and then format. I don't know. Pachinko is like a really hefty book. I don't know if I'd want it in a hardcover because it'd probably be like 30 pounds. But I also have a quick poll. I would be very curious if this is important to you, the format of the book, as a buyer. Are you a hardcover person? Are you a paperback person? What do you prefer? I believe if you go click over to polls, that should be visible now. And if not, please let me know. And I'm going to check the chat really quick. Should custom weight be just the book or also include shipping packaging? I would say just the book, because media mail rates give us 16 ounces of leeway, right? And then the chances are, if you've got a 14-ounce book, yes, that's going to probably tick you up into the 2-pound media mail rate. So you might want to put it right around 16. But for the most part, if you sell a bundle and it's got one 14-ounce book, one 12-ounce book, and one 3-ounce book, what is that? 14 plus 12 is 26 plus 3 is 29. That's going to give you 3 ounces until you tip that 32-ounce threshold. This is too many numbers. So basically, it gives you some leeway before you go into the next pound. And anything up to 2 pounds is what it's going to generate. And those book itself is already under 2 pounds. And so, but if you have any questions, or if you have any concerns, or if you need a label edited, just reach out to us. We can get to those pretty quickly. How can I encourage reviews? That's what Pango Messenger is for. A lot of times, guest accounts may not realize that they can review, but we do send emails to all users. Anybody who has purchased a book, after every transaction, we do send them an email and say, hey, how would you rate this? So we are doing all we can on our end to encourage that. There's also a notification within the app. And if you can chat on Messenger, you can also nudge them for a rating. Okay, so it's looking like hardcover right now is 12 votes versus paperback and 5 votes. I'm going to keep that poll open, and I will report back at the end of our chat today. On desktop, okay. You can swipe right 2 times if you're on mobile and to get to that poll, and on desktop you can select the third icon down next to the chat, and then you can just select the top icon, which is the chat again. All right. Moving on. So featured seller criteria. This is also similar. If you find yourself getting a lot of followers, it's probably because you are being featured at, somewhere in the app, whether that's in the onboarding. We encourage folks to, follow sellers in onboarding when they just join the app, or on the home home feed. So the way that we determine those featured sellers is 50% of this criteria is activity. Have you been active on the Pango app? Whether that be just logging into the app and like checking your messages, checking your notifications, that counts. It also, includes any kind of activity. If you're just browsing, if you're adding things to your shelves, if you're buying, if you're selling, if you're printing your shipping labels, as long as you're logging into the app regularly, your activity rating is going to be high. And that is the most important factor here because we want to surface sellers that are active. And we do go through and deactivate accounts after, I believe, 90 days, or just deactivate their inventory, not their accounts. They can always reactivate their inventory. So we're trying to do our part in making sure that we're only promoting active sellers so we can provide the most streamlined and quick experience for new buyers especially, but for all of our Pango users. Your star rating is also a factor here, not nearly as much as your activity. So again, don't be concerned about the occasional 2 or 3 star rating. That's fine. But we want to make sure that you are closer to 5 than you are to 1 in your rating. And then numbers of reviews that you have is just as important as your star rating. So if you've sold 100 books and you only have 2 reviews, that tells us something interesting. But if you sold 100 books and you have 75 reviews, fantastic. That's a really excellent ratio. Before I move on to the next, I'm going to, are sellers notified via email if they're being featured? Nope, because that is dependent upon everything. It depends on the user looking at it. So my account, because I buy a lot of thrillers and I buy a lot of cookbooks, I'm going to see more thriller and cookbook sellers than I am romance and memoir sellers. So it is custom to the user. I did get a lot of new followers last couple of weeks, and I wondered why. You must have a very high seller criteria rating. All right, I'm going to move on to the next slide. So, yep, number 1 tip, lots of inventory and lots of high quality inventory. Also, number 2, take excellent photos. If for no other reason, take excellent photos because that's what shows up on the ads that we pay for. So just this morning, just an hour ago, I searched for one of our best sellers, which is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, which is excellent. And I searched Google Shopping, and what came up were 4 of the top suggestions were Pango sellers, and that's across all of the internet. And so when I see this, I'm seeing more than just the book cover. I'm seeing personality. I'm seeing condition. I'm seeing something eye-catching. I'm seeing the entire thing. I'm seeing the actual book that I want to purchase. So as a user who may not even know what Pango is, or a reader looking for this book, maybe I'm not familiar with Pango, I am inclined to click on the most interesting photo. So I would suggest making sure that your photos are clean, bright, simple, and eye-catching in some way. We see some sellers who put little cute props, and that's fine if that's your shop's personality. Is that going to necessarily catch the eye of the casual Google searcher? Possibly not, because it's taking up a lot of space in that 1x1 image, right? That 1x1, you want to make sure that square image, the majority of that image, use your real estate wisely. The majority of that should be the book. And we're just talking the featured photo right now. So that's the photo that will be offered up. We do a lot of paid advertising on Google and Meta/Facebook/Instagram. And so as long as your photos are high quality, that increases the chances that some stranger on the internet is going to buy your book. But you can see here, like our Google ads work. And it is showing some really excellent featured listings right now. And like that $7 one at the very end looks really good, and I might need this book. Anyways, So the clearer the photo, the more likely it's going to be clicked on our ads. I would say center your book cover. Make sure your photo is rotated the right way. We see a lot of, again, I've got pachinko right here. We see a lot of we want it to look like this, and we see a lot of them that are like this or upside down. And it's, just make sure that you've got it right side up. I do recommend if you want to edit the photo at all. So daylight is always your best friend. Daylight, but not straight sunlight, not direct sunlight, but diffused daylight, like next to a window, is going to be your best light. It's going to get you your best photo. I understand that many of us work during the day and during daylight hours, so that's not always reasonable. In that case, get yourself a daylight light bulb. You can get them for like $6 at your local hardware store. And then you can upload your own photos from if you wanted to edit by brightening it up, make sure that you're just doing simple edits. You're maintaining the integrity of the book itself. You're not editing out any imperfections, because that's the hallmark of Pango, is the exact book that is photographed is the exact book that you get. But if you wanted to brighten it up or remove some shadows, you can do some slight editing in an external app and then upload that photo. Let's see. And in terms of photos, I mean, the bare minimum is the cover, but I am more likely to purchase a book where I can see the front cover, the back cover, the spine, and at least these outer edges. If there's a remainder marking, I want to see that. If there's some warping, I want to see that. I also strongly recommend taking a photograph of the copyright page, because you don't realize how many like first editions you might have. I had a copy of one of the Wicked books, Son of a Witch. I think the Gregory Maguire Son of a Witch, that I didn't realize was a hardcover first edition, first printing. I sold it on Pango for $100. I mean, it was just sitting on my shelf. But because I opened it up and looked at the copyright page and took a photo of the copyright page, I was really surprised. Yeah, that I that I made good money on it. So I recommend taking a photo of the copyright page, the spine for sure. And if there are any imperfections, I mean, for instance, you can't really see, but there is like a little ding on my copy of Pachinko here. I would take a photo of that. The more photos, the better. It also protects you as a seller. If the buyer were to submit an issue report with us and send some photos of some damage, if we can compare that damage with what is on the original listing, we are more likely to, and if we determine that it was probably done in transit rather than, misrepresentation of the book itself, we are more likely to pay out your earnings. So it is to protect you as a seller as well. Okay, before I move on to the next one, I'm going to look at some, oh gosh, there are a lot of questions here. When will the in-app camera to take photos that are not in square format, especially since most books are not square? I recognize that. Right now, I don't think we have any plans to change the perspective, the ratio of our books, of our photos, from 1:1 to a different ratio, but I will pass that along. Is that where we get purchases from guest accounts from? I think you're referring to like Google ads and Meta ads. Yes, that's where guest accounts come from. My listings tend to blur and there doesn't seem to be a way to focus the camera. Is that a me issue, or does anyone else notice that? It depends on the quality of your phone that you're using, the device you're using. Sometimes the Pango camera won't necessarily be as high quality if you've got like the newest device. I think I've got an iPhone 16, and my like phone's camera is much better than the Pango camera. But for the most part, the in-app camera is as clear as kind of the baseline devices that you might be using. I have trouble with the color using the in-app camera, we can look into that for you. I don't use it because it's bad. You can do it. Yeah, like I said, you can upload your own photos. Um, it gives me a sideways pic sometimes, Linda. That's interesting, the in-app camera. I'd love to see if you have issues, technical issues like this, the best way for us to diagnose them and then fix them is to send us a screen recording of the issue happening. Because otherwise, we're kind of just stabbing in the dark of code of what could be the possibly the issue. Um, yeah, Claude, I agree here. The in-app camera is fine. I find the image quality is strongly dependent on the room lighting. I have found that, yeah, that's why I suggest daylight is going to give you the most bright, accurately colored, true to book um, image. Um, yeah, even though some complain about taking multiple photos, it really helps increase the sales. Yes, the data shows that too. Okay, moving on. So photos are important for many reasons. The next tip is to provide exceptional customer service. And in this case, the messenger is your friend. You can access that directly in the order details. When you get a sale, you can, just hit contact buyer and you can thank them for their sale. We recommend just being in touch. Even if they are a guest account, they can access your messages, and we will send them an email that they have a message from you. They may not know how to message you back, and that's fine. Just make sure that you're staying in contact, and they may not get back to you. But we like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt here. Acknowledge the sale is always a great rule of thumb. Say thank you for your purchase. I'm going to mail this out on Tuesday. And then also within that communication is ship within 3 business days. And yes, I understand that our shipping reminders don't take Sundays and federal holidays into account. You can ignore those if you know it's a Sunday or a federal holiday and our shipping reminder says, "Hey, have you shipped this yet?" We know you are not being docked for any reason if you don't ship on, say, Easter Sunday. We are aware of it. But do try to ship within 3 business days. If you cannot ship within 3 business days, let the buyer know. And the buyer can then decide if they want to, purchase elsewhere, which we like to give them that option, or if they're fine with waiting, they're fine with waiting. So when you ship it within those 3 business days, make sure in the app you mark it as shipped. That will send them an email if they're a guest account. This is a great way to stay in contact with them, even if they aren't checking their messages or aren't aware of their messages. That way that they at least know that it's been dropped off at the postal service or handed off to your mailman. Don't do this until it is actually in the hands of the postal service. And then, why can't I keep my own notes straight here? I am very sorry. I made it too small is my problem. And then you do want to package your shipment securely. We love bubble mailers. That is the very least you can do. Feel free to reuse bubble mailers. Feel free to reuse boxes. One of the things I love most about Pango and Pango sellers is the fact that we're saving so much from landfills, whether it be the packaging that we use, the bubble wrap that we reuse, the books themselves. You don't know how many books are recycled every year. You would cry. I have seen pallets and pallets and pallets go to recycling facilities, and it's just like, oh, those are so many stories and so many books that could have been on Pango. So to keep things sustainable, by all means, reuse packaging. Make sure it's clean. Make sure it's still sturdy. If it's been left out in the rain, maybe don't reuse it. And you can get, good packing tape, shipping tape at your local dollar store to reinforce things. When you use a box, make sure that your books are well protected within the box. I like to sometimes wrap them. If I'm not wrapping them in bubble wrap, I like to wrap them in just like plastic grocery bags and then pad it with, sealed air or craft paper. Don't use newspaper because newspaper bleeds. And we've had many issue reports where people say this was padded with newspaper and now my pages are all black. And that's really frustrating for everybody involved. Last thing to note is media mail is subject to inspection by USPS because it is an economy class and it is meant only for books and educational materials, and books are considered educational materials. If you give the Postal Service any reason to inspect your package, just know that's a risk that you're taking. I know sellers love to include bookmarks and stickers and little thank you notes, and we're not saying don't include those things. What we are saying is it's a risk that you're taking because media mail is subject to inspection and it could be returned back to you, or it could incur an additional fee upon delivery. So, make the best choices for you and your shop, but I just wanted to reiterate that. And if you want to share your tips and tricks for shipping and shipping supplies, I love reusing packaging from friends and family. Somebody suggested that too. I have a very tight knit like block that I live on, and all of my neighbors save their like Amazon bubble mailers and Amazon boxes for me. Yeah, poly mailers. Those are the plastic envelopes. They don't have any padding whatsoever. So if you're going to use a poly mailer, please, please, please protect the book somehow. Whether that be wrapping it in bubble wrap was the word I was looking for, or like extra, extra, extra tissue paper, like 15 sheets of tissue paper. Just make sure that if you're going to use or if you're going to use a poly mailer without any protection, like you have you protect it somehow. Dollar Trees, yeah, Claude's bookstall, man. I can't tell you how much of my shipping materials and come from the Dollar Tree. What a great resource to have. All right, moving along to our fourth tip. Take advantage of those offers and promos. So I go through all of the books in my cart, or all of the books and carts from my store. I probably go through it every 2 to 3 days and just send offers. And I send either 20% off, or I send a full dollar off if it's like a $3 book, and I'll make a custom offer of $2. The steeper the offer, the better the chance that they will accept the offer. Offers can only be sent to a single buyer every 72 hours. So if you see that you've got, 5 books in carts, but you can only send 3 offers, you've either sent them an offer before, or there is a chance that they have removed it from their cart and our app just hasn't refreshed that yet. So it's not a bug that we're aware of. If it happens quite a bit, or if it's something egregious, like it says 200 books in your cart and you've got no offers to send, that might be an issue. But for the most part, if it's off by, a few, the chances are you've already sent them, or you've already sent them offers, or or they've taken their book out of their cart. The sending to one single buyer every 72 hours is because we don't want buyers to feel like they're being spammed with offers over and over again. If you do it every 24 hours, it's like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. Like Claude's bookstall is going to send me another offer, just like he did yesterday. We have shown, our data shows that, by limiting it to every 72 hours, it does increase the chances of a sale. So that's one of the things that, went into the decision to give it 72 hours before you can send another offer. Another thing is to update your promos often. So your store promotions, you can navigate to that in your account on the Pango app. One of my top tips, this is a secret tip, delete all your promotions before you create a new one. If you delete the ones that are already on there, say I've got 20% off of any order over $25, I'm going to delete that. And then I want to increase it to 25% over $25. By deleting it, it will also send that notification to all of your followers that you have a new promotion, not just an edited promotion. Edited promotions don't get sent to your followers. New promotions do. So make sure that you clear that out and create a new promotion. I also think that you want to make sure that you're keeping track of all of this, right? That you're making notes like, how many sales did I get when I had 25% off of $25? How many sales did I get when I had free shipping over $30? Um, get really nerdy about it. Build a spreadsheet if you want, but even just like making a note in like the notes app of your phone, it's going to give you really interesting insights so you can better prepare what your future offers might be. How long did you have that offer on your store? What were your total earnings from those offers? Was it worthwhile? And then the last thing I want to remind you is that promos do stack. So if you've got $1 off any order of 5 or more, and you've got $2 off any orders of 10 or more, and you've got $3 off any orders of 20 or more, that means that the $20 purchases, the $20 orders are going to get $1 off, $2 off, and $3 off for a total of $6. So make sure that you're taking that into account when you're creating your offers. And also be careful with free shipping. Whereas it is a great offer for people because folks are so used to these days getting free shipping or meeting a threshold to get free shipping. If you have free shipping plus a steep discount, just be real careful. Free shipping means that you are paying for the shipping out of your earnings. And if your earnings are only $5 because you've got an 80% off discount and you're offering free shipping, but somebody just bought $50 worth of books at an 80% discount, your shipping cost is going to be, $15. That's going to put you in the negative about $10. While we're never going to like send you an invoice for that, what we will do is, withhold those earnings from future sales until you get back in the positive, right? So you're going to have a negative balance on your pending earnings. And we don't want that. We want you to make money. You're not just sending those books out. So make sure that when you do have a free shipping promo, that you're being smart about it, that you're taking all those things into account, that you're taking your offers into account as well. If you're going to do a free shipping or a steep discount, price your books accordingly. If that's the strategy you're going to have on Pango, just make sure that, a book that you're willing to let go for $1.50, maybe market at $3 and do a 50% off sale. That's another experiment. If there's like a special edition that you don't want included in that 50% off sale, make sure you bump up the price while you've got that promo going. So that if it's a $100 book that you're not willing to let go for less than $100, bump it up to $200. So it's now 50% off $100. So I know before you ask questions, like we'd love to be able to prevent certain books from being in a promotion. That's something we've heard. That's something we know. It's something that we are working towards. I don't have a timeline for it, but just know we are aware. But in the meantime, this is a way to mitigate that. All right, before moving on to the next slide, I'm going to check the questions here. Emily, I don't have a personal shop anymore. I use Pango to fundraise for a choir that I'm a part of, and I could send you that account. Does FedEx or UPS wrap it up? We don't use FedEx or UPS, so if you want to go that route, you can certainly go that route. Just make sure as a seller you let us know you're going that route so we can track it, because otherwise our system doesn't recognize FedEx or UPS tracking numbers, and so we won't know if it's delivered unless you tell us. Thanks for the heads up. Sam's Club has a good deal on packing tape. $13.98 for 6 rolls. That's a crazy good deal. So if you got a Sam's Club membership, snatch that up. Does data show that buyers prefer free shipping over a large percentage off? That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to that. But I can crunch those numbers for you, and I'll put it. That's what I'll do. I'm going to make a note right now. I'll put it in next month's seller newsletter. Esther, if you're here, can you remind me? Percentage versus free shipping data. Okay. Will there be a time to custom select what we put on sale? I talked about that. That's coming, just not sure when. Limited time promotion for the store. So Laura, Brianna, I think what you're asking is maybe a countdown for that on your shop site. Like this flash sale is only happening, this weekend. A lot of sellers will put that in their user bio. And we had a featured seller recently who flash sales every weekend, Friday to Sunday. And so that's in their bio that, everything Friday to Sunday is 30% off or something. How can I use graphics to jazz up my store? How are y'all advertising, promoting Pango? We're getting to that. Guess what slide 5 is? I cross-post. Okay, well, great. Y'all are already moving on to my next slide, so I'm going to just move on here. And the last tip for getting the most sales is market your own store. We pay, like I said, we pay Google, we pay Facebook, Meta, Instagram, many dollars to get Pango in front of people, to get your listings in front of people. We use your photos in those ads. So we're doing our part. We've got a robust email campaign strategy as well. So, but you can put this in your own hands. We have seller templates. And you can find those on the Seller Resource Hub. That is linked in the seller's newsletter. That is linked at the bottom of the pangobooks.com webpage. If you just search Google Pango Seller Resource Hub, you will find that. You will find all of the articles, all of the links and blog posts and FAQ pages that pertain to sellers and making the most of your seller experience will be on that page. It is a resource hub for you. Within that is the seller templates, and these you can use, you can edit right within your social media. And we have a tutorial in the Seller Resource Hub as well for how to use our templates. They're optimized to use in Instagram stories, the tall ones, and we also have square ones. And the way to edit those is in your Instagram stories, you just upload that photo, and then you upload a photo of your listing. You take a screenshot of it, you kind of adjust you crop it. That's what I'm looking for. You crop it, and then you put it in our templates. You get access to monthly templates, 5 to 10 templates every month when you will become a Pango ambassador. So that's another way to get your store in front of other people, is to become a Pango ambassador. You can apply at pango.com/ambassadors. You can, we review those applications once a month, usually the beginning of the month. So we probably won't review those again until the first week of April. But that means you get a promo code to share with your friends and family and followers. And they get $5 off any first time order of 10 or more, I believe. And then you get $2 in Pango bucks for every conversion, right? So I've got, my Aunt Sheila gets $5 off her $10 order of the latest Nora Roberts, and I get $2 because that was her first purchase. And she used my, very, very special promo code. So that's a great way to incentivize your friends and family to shop your Pango store. I also recommend, if you are a social media user, mention your shop on social media at least once a week. Your seller or your potential buyers and your followers and your friends and family, they won't think anything of it if it's once a week, but they will be nudged in that direction. And marketing studies have shown that someone needs to see a marketing message 7 times before they take any action at all. So if we're playing numbers games here, 7 actions, if you do it once a week, that is 7 weeks from you see the sale, you see the advertisement, your link to your store, to actually placing an order. So if you want to increase that, by all means, but just keep in mind, like, not everybody is going to jump at the opportunity to purchase from you the first time they see your link. So just remind folks that they're there. A lot of our sellers, especially our ambassadors, will, anytime they add something to their Pango store, they just take a screenshot and share it on social media with a link and use code whatever for $5 off your first purchase. It's a great habit to get into. Um, One of the other, like, I love adding my Pango store to my email signature because I just think it adds personality to the emails that I send, right? That these are the books that I'm selling, or these are the books that I'm enjoying. I think actually I have my shelves listed because I don't want to take advantage of my pangobooks.com email address by saying come buy my books. But I think I have my shelves with all of your listings. But by all means, if you don't work for Pango, add your Pango shop to your email signature. And if you are an ambassador, add your promo code too. Um, Make sure it is linked in all your social media profiles too. If you are a social media user, a lot of folks use link trees, or, oh gosh, I can't even think what some of the other ones are, but where it's a page that takes you to a page that has all of your links, since you can only put, a couple of links in your Instagram bio, for instance. So yeah, just link it there. And again, share your promo code there if you have one. And then finally, if you're not on social media, let your friends and family know that you have this online bookstore, especially if you are using it to fundraise for something. For instance, my choir that I mentioned, I use Pango to fundraise for my choir. And I share it on our choir newsletter. And I share it on our choir bulletin board, online bulletin board, right? And I say, hey, just so you know, I added some new books to our choir store. Check it out. All proceeds go back to the choir. So share it. Ask your friends and family to share the link. And yeah, even if you don't use social media, your friends and family probably do. And I'm sure they would be more than happy to share and support your Pango store to get you to the next level. And on that note, like, also ask them for books that they're getting rid of because you might just be able to sell them.